Today, while scrolling down my Facebook feed, I saw some lectures by various political leaders regarding this JNU issue. I see political leaders from all spectrum joining the bandwagon and protesting just for the sake of protesting, which has always been a perennial case in India because most of the political leaders are so opportunistic that they don't even leave one opportunity which might get them some votes. So I would like to pose some few questions to all the leaders of all the political parties. First would be, why are we so selective about our secularism? Why is it that we only challenge the intolerance exhibited by one religion and not the other? For example, during the Taslima Nasreen violence or the various fatwas issued against Salman Rushdie, I have never seen that kind of protests which should have been there and which were not there. Then I saw many lectures by left wing leaders. I would like to ask them, you were in power for 30 years in West Bengal. What have you done? What have you really done? Could you please tell the nation? I don't see any real development which had happened in West Bengal, and it is still one of the most economically backward states in the country. Then another thing, the recent death of RSS worker in Kerala and the BJP vice president in Bihar. We never saw any condemnation of that act. We don't know who has done it, but we have not seen it. Similarly, during the death of Pansare, Mr. Dhavolkar, all the rationalist leaders, those are the things which must be protested. But sadly, those are not done. Then the left-wing leaders also extended their outside support to UPA governments. UPA government has been known for widespread corruption, but they still supported that government from outside. So why didn't they do something when they were actually in power? I don't understand this kind of appeasement politics which always goes on. There has to be some end to this appeasement politics. Not even one of them commemorated the actual martyrs who died in Siachen. Or for that instance, so many people have died protecting the integrity, sovereignty of this nation, but nobody commemorates those soldiers accordingly. For instance, the Telangana government has announced 40 lakhs for Rohit Vemula, but they are saying only 5 lakhs will be given for the uh, martyred soldier. So I don't understand this disparity. Why are veterans always neglected? I think this has something to do with the opportunism that exists in our country. Then another problem is our media. Why did the media first of all give so much importance to the JNU issue? We have this vibrant Make in India week that is going on in our country. that that initiative might be able to provide jobs to lakhs of people. The media doesn't seem to be bothered about that. What it was bothered about was the fire in that incident and the JNU incident. They are not covering the actual thing which they should cover. Then another thing is defense versus the IAS, IPS, and civil services. Since both of them write the UPSC examination and both are A class master gazetted officers, I'm talking about officers here. So I think there should be equality between the two services, and also for Jawans, I think they are neglected in our country a lot. So first of all, IAS, IPS people get non-functional upgradation. That is a particular batch. Even if one person gets the promotion, all of them will get the promotion. But this doesn't happen in the defense forces. Then in IPS, you reach the rank of DIG, Deputy Inspector General, that is equivalent to the rank of brigadier in army within 14 years. But in army, you can't even become a colonel at 14 years. Then another very saddening thing which recently happened was the Seventh Pay Commission's recommendations on the hardship allowance. This just shows the mentality and the mindset that we have towards our defense forces, that a soldier posted in Siachen would be given an allowance of 21,000, an officer would be given an allowance of 31,000, and an IAS officer posted in Guwahati, a state capital, would be given an allowance of 75,000. That's the hardship allowance he would be getting, approximately that much. So, I don't understand what has been the rationale behind this. How is this possible? How is Guwahati a harder posting than Siachen? What is the logic that has been used? I just can't get it. For army considered Siachen the most difficult terrain because in the Antarctica region you have just the weather, but in Siachen you have the weather and the enemies, so you have to tackle both of them. So that must be looked into. Another thing is, uh, the left wing leaders want a communist revolution in our country, but look at China. China is a communist nation. What is the condition over there? They don't have human rights, they don't have civil liberties, they don't have anything. Basically, if you go to any conference in China, all the research scholars would just be telling the viewpoint of their government. I don't think that is the kind of communism we want in our nation, and that is actual intolerance, and nobody is talking about them. Communism, basically, Karl Marx said a revolution between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, but nowadays people are not even talking about the bourgeoisie. They are only concerned about the how to disturb the peace in the country. They are just trying to play divisive politics, which has divided this nation till now, and historically we have been ruled because of that. If we don't unite even now, then when will we unite? And if we don't unite, then there is a very serious threat. The world is taking us seriously. You should have seen when the prime minister went to some of the big nations, they were he was respected. In Saudi Arabia, he was given a 21 gun salute. No other prime minister before him had got that. That shows that even a country like Saudi Arabia is respecting us. But if we don't unite amongst ourselves, then that might not happen in future. Then another thing is subsidies. We have this entitlement mentality in us that we should get something from the government or the country for that matter. But this might be the result of 70 years of appeasement politics that has gone on. But this has to stop. At some point, it needs to stop. For example, all the premier institutions in our country, IIT, IIMs, even TIS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, including my college, and JNU, the most famous one, they get a lot of subsidies. So what I would propose is, okay, give them subsidies, but after they get a job, after they are well settled, like Brinda Karat or Prakash Karat, who are well-known political leaders, at least those people can return their subsidies which they have studied in. Many people are from JNU. So yeah, not only them, everybody basically, because I know many people from TIS who are working in MNCs and IITians. IIMs don't get subsidies, so that's okay. So TIS who are working in big MNCs and even IITians who go abroad. The best example would be Sundar Pichai. So my thing is, okay, give them subsidy because they might need it for their studies, but take it back after they get the job. Let them give the money back to the government, because that will help in giving studies to other people. There should not be an entitlement mentality. We have to empower the population, not give them that kind of a mindset where they can continue getting benefits from the government. Another very important thing which I would like to point out about the bourgeoisie classes and the selective secularism that operates in our country. The house that Ambani has, 5,000 crores worth Antilla property, that is the highest valued private property in the whole world, and that land belongs to Waqf board. So Waqf board lands in our nations cannot be sold or bought. I don't know how he managed to build that house. So there were some news about CBI reports going into that dubious dealing, but I don't see anything regarding that. And neither do I see a single protest by any of the political parties for that matter. So that must be looked into. Another thing is, we are very concerned about the taxpayers' money going into JNU, but at max per year, 300 crores subsidy is given to JNU, 215 crores, but I am considering at max 300 crores. And the non-performing assets that our banks have is almost equal to $60 billion. So that is almost equal to 3.6 lakh crores, considering 60 rupees, but that's not, it would be around 4 lakh crores. So our banks have bad loans of 4 lakh crores. That is a very serious threat. We don't want to get into recession like how the US, the whole debt system failed. Why are we giving so much loans to corporates? Okay, I understand you have to give them loans for bettering their business and investment prospects, but take that back. Like, don't just do charity work, you have to take it back. And yeah, many farmers in our country commit suicide because they are not able to pay their money back. And there are also some reports which say that many money lenders charge 120% like annual interest rate from poor people who cannot get into the credit system in our country. So these things must be looked into. Another very important thing is the Kashmir issue. What I think of the Kashmir issue is, there is section 370. So because of section 370, we cannot invest in, like, you and I cannot buy a property in Kashmir. Only Kashmiri people can buy. So if there is no incentive for investment in a place, then how do you expect it to develop economically? And if a place doesn't develop economically, then as a result there would be less education, there would be more radicalization, more extremism. So there might be some points where they might just get fed up, and that is quite possible. That has happened in the 70 years. If there is no development, anybody would get fed up. Even considering northeast and other states, there, I mean, in Northeast also there are some states where investment is not incentivized that much. So like how Gujarat and Maharashtra have incentivized, and Bangalore, like, we have to develop SEZs and many other things, considering the environmental factors and all that. But yeah, there has to be some incentive for investment. Otherwise, why would corporates come into a place and invest? Because they are, at the end of the day, profit, they try to get profit. So if there is no profit, they will not come. It's as simple as that. We have to understand that, and the policymakers of this nation need to understand that. Then another thing is temples and wealth. Our temples, not only temples, churches, mosques, whatever it is, religious institutions, they have a lot of wealth, and we all know that nowadays they are also performing like corporations only. They have different lines for different people. You can book your tickets online. So I don't understand one thing, that why are they not taxed? We can tax their wealth. That will improve our tax collections. We tax people who have earnings of 6-7 lakhs. We tax them. We So they can also be taxed. They have lakhs of crores of wealth. Some of that wealth can be nationalized as well, because it's not technically the temple's wealth, it's the country's people's wealth. So a nation is built of its people. So if we go by that circular understanding, the nation can take back some of its wealth. And then another thing is the health scheme in our nation. I have seen that many people in rural areas don't have basic health facilities, and even if they have basic health facilities, they don't have good health facilities for getting good surgeries or anything done. So according to recent reports, 90 crore people already have Aadhaar cards. So what we can do is, we can just give them a health insurance scheme. Like nowadays, 1,500 rupees, you have good health insurance schemes which covers you for up to 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs of treatment. So we can give these people those numbers which will be linked to their Aadhaar cards, and they can just go in for cashless treatments at all big hospitals, and the hospitals will have to should like they have to, and they should give them cashless treatment without any fillers like room rents, this that, all that should be covered in that insurance scheme. So by that way, the health scheme, at least we can have a good health scheme like many other developed nations where they have the social security measures. Then another thing is section 377, the LGBT rights. So all modern democracies have gone forward and legalized LGBT uh, rights, but we have not done that yet. And if we want to showcase to the world that we are a modern democracy, we also have to do that. The basic thing is the UK, the English brought this core IP, this law into our nation, but now they have done away with the law, but we are still holding on to our colonial legacy, which has to go away. Then, whatever it is, no party should try to divide us. That would be my message, or whatever. We as students have to be logical, rational, and scientific, whether it's ABVP, SFI, or anybody. But we are the future of this nation. If we have regressive mindsets, if we don't respect each other, we don't respect our ideologies, then then there can be no progress in this nation. We have to be rational, logical, and scientific in our approach. In today's world, religion has to take a back step. Religion cannot be the sole basis for our unity and integration. Neither can caste, creed, or anything like that. We have to be logical and rational in all our thinking processes. At the end, I do think the statements by the uh, JNU students were highly condemnable, but they can be condemned. But I also think that jailing a student at this level might not be correct. I would leave that to the wise acumen of the judiciary. But yeah, our freedom of speech does have some reasonable restrictions which are decided by the courts from time to time. So yes, both parties were wrong. We can't justify anything. If you want to break India, I might get on the roads and start protesting against you, or do something highly emotional against you. But yeah, I can do that. As citizens, we can do that. But I think the government should not have arrested him, but let the court decide. And whatever happened in Patiala House Court is highly unjustified, it's barbaric, nobody is supporting that, and those lawyers must be dealt very severely and harshly. But at the same time, people should not be very selective. We have to be rational in our approach. We can't term one thing bad, and if some other religion or some other people do that same thing, we cannot keep mum. We have to talk. We need to deliberate and discuss and debate. That is how a healthy democracy must work.